Something strange happens to so many of us when we dive into a field that seems to rewrite its own rules every single week. We watch the endless tutorials, we collect the certificates, we save all the courses, buy the heavy books, and install the absolute latest AI tools. We learn, and we learn, and we learn. Yet when a real, messy problem actually shows up and there's no step-by-step tutorial to follow, we still feel completely lost.
Because tools are not the same as judgment, and judgment is really what this explainer is all about. We're going to explore what it actually means to step away from simply knowing how to operate a tool and step into becoming a complete builder, someone who can actually build useful things when reality stops being neat and tidy.
It's a very specific kind of exhaustion getting to that point, isn't it? I've felt this so many times myself. You finish the massive final project, you close the tabs, you expect to feel this wave of mastery, but instead, it's just silence. And then this heavy, kind of terrifying question hits you. Now what?
That feeling of confusion, it happens because we fundamentally misunderstand what completing a course actually means. Completion is not the finish line. When you finish learning a new concept, or you finally master a new piece of software, you aren't actually finished. You're simply ready. You are finally ready to enter reality. And reality is where the real learning actually begins.
Okay, so how do we step into that messy reality without completely panicking? Because navigating it feels incredibly fast. Every single day there's a new model dropping, a new framework, some new AI agent. How do we walk into that without just trying to memorize every new thing that hits the timeline?
By shifting what you're actually trying to acquire. You see, most beginners fall into this habit of collecting tools. They think if I just learn Python, and then SQL, and then this one specific machine learning library, then I'll be safe. But real builders don't collect tools, they connect them. They look at a situation, figure out what actually needs to be solved, and then they pull in only the pieces required to solve it.
Think of it kind of like a staircase. Real work always begins with reality, and reality's messy, but it leaves traces. Those traces, well, they become data. But data isn't truth yet, is it? It only becomes evidence when it's interpreted carefully. And that evidence is then used to support human judgment. Judgment shapes the action we take, and the action creates a brand new reality, which leads to new learning. This is the actual path from a chaotic world to informed action.
Maps reduce fear, not because they remove complexity, because they create direction. Wow. Just hearing it framed that way brings this huge sense of relief. It's not about pretending the data science world isn't incredibly complex. It's realizing that having a structure is the absolute cure for being overwhelmed. I don't need to learn every single tool today. I just need to know exactly where I am on the map.
Exactly. And once you have that map, you start to notice a pattern, a grounding rhythm that will hold you steady through absolutely any project, no matter how wild or advanced the technology gets.
Question, evidence, judgment, action. It seems, almost too basic? Well, good thinking is often simple. Not easy, but simple. It takes incredible discipline to pause a massive project and ask, wait, what question are we actually trying to answer here? Before you just start aggressively writing code. This loop protects you from blind automation. It literally stops you from building a highly advanced AI agent that beautifully answers the completely wrong question.
I have to admit, for the longest time, I thought data work was strictly about building the smartest model in the room. If the math checked out and the code was super clean, my job was done. I honestly thought communication was just the wrapping paper.
That is such a common trap. But think about the contrast here. On one hand, you have a brilliant, wildly complex model that nobody uses because nobody understands it. On the other hand, a simple explanation that a team actually trusts. People do not act on charts. They just don't. They act on understanding. A stakeholder needs to know what changed, why it actually matters, how confident we are in the result, and what could potentially go wrong.
Technical truth translated without being distorted. That's where the real value lives. If I build the absolute most accurate inventory prediction system in the world, but the operations manager has no idea when to trust it, it's a completely useless system. It just gathers dust on a server somewhere.
So, how do we actually make that shift? How do we break away from building these flashy, impressive technical demos and start building things people genuinely want to use in their daily routine?
By deeply understanding this one idea. Products are promises, not features. Real builders focus on the human routine. A feature is just saying, hey, this system has an AI summary. But a promise says every single Monday morning, you will know exactly which 5 stores need your attention and exactly why. You aren't just showing off some neat software, you are delivering a reliable promise to a real person.
Useful beats impressive. Every single time, I'm really anchoring onto that. A basic tool that a manager actually opens up and relies on every single day absolutely destroys a beautiful, complex machine learning demo that nobody ever touches.
But this brings up a real tension for me. If we have these incredible new tools, and we have genuinely good intentions, and we desperately want to be useful, why do so many massive data projects and AI systems still completely crash and burn when they hit the real world?
I mean, just look at the traps waiting for us. We answer the wrong question, we feed the system bad data. Think about the companies recently that blindly automated their customer service chatbots only to have them hallucinate completely fake refund policies. A system can have perfect code, flawless execution, 0 bugs, and still produce an absolute disaster.
And that right there is precisely why human judgment matters above all else. A system can compute, but it cannot care. It doesn't understand the real-world consequence of a false alarm. It has no idea what happens to a customer if it makes a mistake. Judgment is our human advantage. It's the ability to pause, look at the output, and ask, does this actually make sense?
So it really comes down to holding it all together. It's not just about knowing the syntax of a language. It's about carrying the responsibility of the entire system. Exactly. Let's look at how all these different layers stack up to form the complete workflow of a truly capable system.
It always starts with purpose. Why are we even doing this? Then evidence. Do we actually trust our data? Then models and knowledge. That's the reasoning and retrieval layers. Then the agents, the software helpers executing the plan. But notice the very last step. It ends critically with human review. The human is the one who protects the consequence.
And as you practice this over time, it fundamentally shapes your entire professional journey. When you map out this kind of career architecture, you learn to regulate yourself under pressure. You build real skill evidence through actual projects, not just empty claims on a resume. You start choosing better bets. You learn how to repair your reputation when mistakes inevitably happen. All of this compounds into true, durable mastery.
The model is not the hero. The workflow is. I really get it now. My career shouldn't be this frantic, exhausting race to learn the trendiest new algorithm before it changes again. It should be about becoming someone who knows how to reliably turn messy reality into clear, responsible action.
That is the ultimate realization. In a world where the tools are changing every single week, your identity simply cannot be tied to a piece of software. It must be tied to your judgment. So as we close out this explainer, I'll leave you with one final thought to sit with. What kind of professional do you want to become?